Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. Your decisions, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, hey there, good people. We are back. Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. I am your host, producer of the real journey of entrepreneur, Anita Pierce. I had a long day, so it's a little crazy here. But anyway, welcome to the show. I am super excited to have you join us today because, as I always say, I have the best seat in the house, in the world at this moment. Even though we have a lot of craziness going on, it's just amazing to be able to have conversations, understanding the process of what entrepreneurship looks like from just, everyday folks who made the decision that they wanted to embark on their dreams. So, the real journey of the entrepreneur, we aim to focus on supporting and providing information to entrepreneurs. Information here is shared, and the views here are pretty much my opinion. So, welcome to the ride. I have the opportunity to be able to share um, the table today with um, somebody who I'm really excited to learn from. Um, this particular guest is a lawyer. And so I know that a number of business owners, specifically when you're starting out, may have like a number of questions about, you know, are attorneys expensive? Do I need an attorney in the beginning? What does having an attorney or retainer look like for my business? You know, how can I utilize effectively and get the best advice? Where do I find the best attorneys? Well, look no further. I have the opportunity to introduce Miss Raysheea Turner, Esquire, from Wallace and Turner Law. I am a member of the Upstate New York Black Chamber of Commerce, and I had an opportunity to see a feature of these two beautiful women of color who are making impact within the capital region. And Raysheea is a New York licensed attorney and one of the founding partners of Wallace Turner Law, and she gained her experience in private practice with a focus on real estate transactions, corporate formation, estate planning, and estate and trust administration, and more. So I get to do all the questions that maybe you want to know and probably more. Welcome to the Real Journey of the Entrepreneur, to my guest, Miss Raysheea Turner. How are you?
Good, good. I'm happy to be here. How are you?
I cannot complain. There's no need to, especially since we're here. We are here. So
Yes.
let's get started. Because as I mentioned, am really excited to learn more about your practice, both yourself and your colleague. I'm curious to find out why you got started and take it away.
Um, we got started because there's a need. There's a need. It speaks volumes when you can go to a professional that looks like you. As far as, just relation, empathy, sympathy, understanding, ability to relate. And so that was important. My partner and I, we both have public defender backgrounds,
Mm,
and we were both working in our respective counties as public defenders, and we were doing good work, but we were doing a lot of work, and we started to think like the rate of recidivism or the actual help that we're giving, it's not going anywhere. Great, I'm working in family court. It means a lot for the families to see someone that looks like them. It does. But the reality of it is they're still going to have family problems, right? They're still going to have bad dynamics. Criminal court, where Kim was, the rate of recidivism is consistently increasing. So you help them with a misdemeanor, you get them a adjournment in contemplation of dismissal. Now they're back with a felony.
mm.
Things just kept recycling, even in family court, the same clients over and over. And it's like we thought we were making a difference by being in, the public defender's office. But we're like, we're not really making an impact. We're not making an impact at all. What can we do to make an impact? Well, generational wealth is important, right? We want to enable people that look like us and even people that don't look like us to succeed in different aspects of life, whether it's through home ownership or growing and building a business. And so we formed Wallace Turner Law.
Salute to you all, because oftentimes when we are thinking about our why, I kept hearing you repeat the importance of representation, right? And also impact, real and deepening impact.
Absolutely.
And so those are, congratulations on the start of something amazing. So I'm going to start in a number of different places because I know that part of your practice is helping entrepreneurs. And
Mhm.
what areas do you support entrepreneurs?
We support them at every stage, meaning if we're just brainstorming business ideas, we provide support in that, especially for startups, business formation, making sure it's the right entity, making sure it's the right tax structure, to contracts, whether it's independent contractor agreement, vendor agreements, or just coming up with an employee handbook. Whatever support that our businesses need, we want to provide. And oftentimes we can provide those supports directly in-house, and sometimes we know we can't do everything, right? You got to stick to the rivers and oceans that you're used to. And so we are consistently referring our clients out to other professionals in their respective areas, because the reality of it is we're invested in the business and we want them to succeed. And so we take a little bit of a different approach. I tell all my clients, I want to know all your business. Like, seriously, the more I know, the better I'm going to be able to help you. And so tell me everything I need to know, because I'm invested. Because maybe you come to me to form an LLC for you, right? Great. That's only a few $100s. I want you to come back to me when you got your $5,000 contract, your $100,000 contract, your $1 million contract. So it's all about building relationships. And so my goal is always to make it be mutually beneficial. So if I see a seminar coming out, or for example, Anita, if you're going to host something or something for entrepreneurs, I'm going to send my clients an invitation to that. If I see like something that comes out that's going to help that individual, I'm going to do that. And I'm always wanting to learn more about my client's business so I can be a referral source for them. Maybe I don't need their services directly, but it's like, oh, you're a landscaper? Great. I know I'm working with this real estate client and they need a landscaper. Let me refer my client to them. And so I try to make it mutually beneficial, because we really are invested in seeing businesses grow. And we're a small business ourselves. And so we know how important word of mouth is.
Right. So which leads me to curiosity, right? Because when we are talking about building businesses, we always say you got to have a squad with you, a very strong squad, an accountant, an attorney, a business coach, someone to help, be a key influence, right? So the role of the attorney is not just um to get folks out of trouble, but it's about long-term strategy is what I understood.
Yeah, and for every attorney, it's not about that. Some is about a check and just forming something, but we're in it for the long haul. because the reality of it is businesses need support if they are truly going to be successful. I can do the elementary things, but what's going to happen when the more complex things? What's going to happen when there's more complex things?
Now, you practice in New York. Is your practice, is the rules and regulations for businesses different per state, or are you just specifically practicing in New York?
So right now I am only licensed in New York. We do have a off-council attorney who practices in New York and this in the state of Illinois.
Mhm.
But laws are different in every state. But as it relates to businesses, oftentimes they are very similar, if not the exact same. But New York, it's not a state that's any more abrasive than another state, and the laws are not bad for businesses. I know a lot of people are always like, well, Delaware, Delaware, Delaware. Well, New York is not too bad for businesses. And the reality of it is, you're not in Delaware. So,
You're gonna have to if you're gonna do business, just do it right, and get the support that you need. Since you're gonna be doing business within New York, it's just
absolutely.
very interesting. When I hear Delaware, I'm like, whatever. So, did you know early on that you wanted to go into being an attorney, and also, where you are now as an entrepreneur?
I didn't. I have a degree in theater and dance. And so
Wow.
I was acting. Acting was my plan A, my plan B, my plan. It was the whole alphabet. That's all I cared about. And in my last year undergrad, I had a girlfriend named Kamisha Richards from Brooklyn, and she was preparing to take the LSAT to go to law school. Unfortunately, she was murdered. And
Oh,
so when she was murdered, it just, I didn't automatically say, hey, I'm going to become an attorney. It was probably maybe like a year later, I had an epiphany when I was living in Georgia. And I was like, when Kamisha died, like we didn't, like nobody knew nothing. Like it was like just helpless.
mhm.
There's a pot and the pot is empty. No, we didn't know one black attorney, no black doctor, no black this, nobody that looked like us that can be of any assistance. It's just, you're just staring into space. And I'm like, I couldn't have imagined what her mother went through. And I just know the feeling that I had as someone who knew her. I didn't like it. I felt hopeless and helpless. And I was like, I don't want to feel like that. I don't like that. Granted, I'm acting. Acting is always going to be there. That's my baby. But I'm like, I have this undergraduate degree. I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. I need to try to do more because I have the ability to be that voice. And so I needed to take it to the next level. And so I said, I'm gonna go to law school.
Wow. And so when you went to law school, you just went, so I'm not familiar with, I know that there are different types of practice. Did you study in Georgia, or did you study in New York?
Actually, in Massachusetts.
Oh wow, okay.
Actually, in Massachusetts, I went to law school in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Wow. And so wow. Um and so when you made the decision to transition into law based upon a personal experience. How did you find your partner that you're working with currently within the law firm?
So my partner and I met in 2019. We went to education scholarship gala event, and they had a silent auction.
Mm.
And it was towards the end of the night, and she was standing near the auction table, and I created, well, some friends and we created like this group of women, and we were going out to try to help further our business or just network and get to know people. So we happened to go to this event, and so my partner was standing there and I was standing there, and I'm like, okay, we're supposed to be networking. And so I said, hey, well, since we're standing next to each other, let me introduce myself. My name is Ray. I'm an attorney in Schenectady, New York. And she kind of was like, okay, well, my name's Kim. I'm an attorney in Albany, New York. And so we both started talking. Maybe we have like a 5 minute, 10 minute conversation. Then I'm like, we're gonna open up a law firm and you're gonna be my partner. Told her right there. And then after a while, like my girlfriends came over and they was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "Oh, this is attorney Kimberly Wallace. This is my new business partner." Then everybody kind of was like laughing, and my mind was made. I'm like, "We're gonna form this law firm." And so after the gala, we went across the street to a bar, and I remember we were drinking a 9 pin cider, and I was like, "All right, let's start talk about the business plan." And we did it that same night. And one thing that was important to Kim and I was getting to know one another as individuals, because
Mhm.
we're going to be partners. You're going to be like my husband, here you are. You got to know me in and out. You got to know my ticks. You got to know my personality. We're family now, and we
Right.
have to form that relationship. And so that's what we worked on doing in the beginning before we actually formed Wallace Turner Law.
I want to just say, I just want to clap it up. I don't think, I mean, I know you know it's important what you're doing, but from another woman, seeing, what you both are doing and going to do, I just want to just take a moment to
Thank you. I appreciate it. I
because I
appreciate it.
know starting a small business myself, being in this space for 7 years and crying every day, it's not easy.
No,
And
it's a
so
lot.
it's a lot. You are the person, you're not going to your boss. I mean, unless you have a child. In my case, that's my boss.
Just had another baby.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's a process. So when you both made this decision, right, in starting up, you had to, it sounds like you had to really understand the person that you're now going into business with. What did that really entail? Because we always talk about, yes, collaboration and working with other businesses, specifically business of a color, that there may be a mystery, or sometimes it may or may not work out. Looks like it's working out right now. But just, I mean, because I'm sure it was scary.
Yeah. So my thing is like, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from East New York. What's the worst that can happen? It's gonna be all right. I can get through that. This is nothing. And so me and Kim, we have different personalities. And so it was like interesting. We learned early on what annoyed us about each other, and it was mostly around menstruation time. We both used to get on one another's nerves, but we learned those things, and it became less of a big deal. We introduced one another to our families, because it's like, we're going into business. My family needs to know you. You need to know my family. So it literally was about building a friendship. And we always joke all the time to people, and we say we're not friends. That's
Mm,
my partner. But I have a best friend. Kim has a best friend. But when most things happen, just because we work together, she's probably going to be my first person that I'm going to contact. You know what I mean? And vice versa for her. And so it really was about forming that relationship, because we knew it was going to be difficult, being young, being black, and being women. So we have to overcome all of those hurdles. And a lot of our counterparts, they don't think they're necessary hurdles, but no, they are. And I would like to add beautiful women, because you know those are hurdles, and those are things that we have to consider when we're doing business.
okay, so lots of questions, lots of questions. So I'm from Brownsville, so I just thought
Okay.
that was kind
I'm
of
from
like,
Damas.
right, we're
I'm from
really
Damas, right across the bridge, Blake, between Alabama and
see,
Georgia.
see, right there.
Yeah.
We clicking virtually, clicking virtually. So, um, on the respect of dealing with businesses and dealing with their planning, right? Because I know that when I think of estate planning, I think of two areas. One, specifically with your family, but also within your business. Um, is one and the same, or are they different?
I mean, it's separate. So with estate planning, you're planning for your family. Even with your business, if your business is going to be no more, if you go away, you want to make sure that your family is going to be you're going to be protected. But when I talk to businesses about succession planning and planning for the future, I'm like, okay, I entered into a partnership agreement with Kimberly Wallace, my partner. She entered into a partnership agreement with me. If I die, she's not agreeing to be my husband's partner. That's not, And so people don't consider that in business when they're forming these operating agreements. It's like, okay, well, what happens if Raysheea is no more? Does Kim get to go on? Does she need to pay my family something? Does, like, what is literally going to happen if something goes wrong? And so I always challenge my clients to, think about, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we can all be best friends today, ha 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 ha, but what are we going to do when there's conflict? And so when it comes to business planning, it's like, let's think about those things. And granted, it may never happen, but let's put some protections in our agreements to make sure if something does happen, we're better suited for it. And when it comes to estate planning for family, I always tell people, I'm like, think about being dead, but being able to still be in control of everything.
Mm.
And one document is like, I'm dead, but you know what? You're going to administer my will. You're going to sell this property for me. You're going to do these things. I always encourage, especially people of color, to get these things in order. And we generally think we don't need to, because, well, I'm from the projects in Brooklyn where I don't have nothing. I don't have any money to leave anybody. None of those things are important. But sometimes we forget about different things. So while the will is important to transfer assets, there's a lot of things that can be done in life. I always tell my clients the will is the last thing. I don't care about the will. I'm trying to control now and how we can make sure if I was to die that my family is going to be okay. I want them to be able to grieve. I don't want them to think about all of this other stuff. And so I always tell people my favorite document is the power of attorney, because literally that's me cloning myself. I can literally have somebody becoming me. I can walk into the bank account at 1 o'clock, open up an account. My power of attorney can walk in at 4 o'clock and close that account. And so it has to be someone you really trust. But power of attorneys are so important because, at least where I'm from, my grandmother raised me. A lot of people who I know, their grandparents raised them, or their aunts and uncles, things like that's just how it went. And so, but I do know my grandmother, at a point before she passed away, she struggled to get to the stores. She struggled to do certain things. And I was too young at the time. But if I was an adult now and she was still here, I would be her power of attorney. Yeah, grandma, I can go to the bank and I can handle these things for you. I can take care of your affairs so you don't have to worry about it while you have your mental capacity. Because God forbid, if someone gets dementia and they lose their capacity, they can no longer make those decisions. Then you got to go to guardianship route, which is a whole nother story. So I'm like, let's get these power of attorneys in effect. And it helped tremendously for a lot of people with COVID, because a lot of our elders, they didn't want to leave the house. They wasn't playing, but we all know they love going to the bank,
Mhm.
you know and so they needed certain things to be handled. So if you were that person's power of attorney, you can handle those things. And another document I love is the healthcare proxy. If I'm in some type of condition that's irreversible, whoever I name as my agent, they can make decisions regarding my healthcare on my behalf. And I can put right in that document that, if something happens to me and it's supposedly irreversible, if I'm brain dead, if I'm on a breathing tube, artificial nutrition, that's not who I am. That's no quality of life for me. I don't want to live like that. So all they need to do is give me medication to make me comfortable and just let me go. And so you
Mm.
can make those decisions that may be hard for your family later on. Um, you can make them now. And I always tell people life insurance. That's one of those things. You don't gotta go to court for that. That's just a beneficiary designation. Let's make sure that's right. Those savings accounts you have, those bank accounts, who's that person that you would want all this money to go to? Let's put their name as a payable and death beneficiary now. So when you pass away, they don't gotta be searching for a law firm to help them figure this out. They're already gonna know what to do. It's all planned. And it just makes it a lot easier, because when people pass away, you should be able to grieve. You should be able to grieve.
That's so true. So at what point as a new business owner should they be thinking about creating a real succession plan? When they just first started, or like when they get a little bit of money? Like what stage should that be?
I think from the very beginning, whatever attorney they're working with should be talking about the future. Because I'm not just forming a company for now. I'm forming it for the future where I want it to function. It's a little bit simpler when it's one individual in a business, because there's not much to be decided. That sole person can make it, they pass away, really nothing. Their heirs can get the assets and that's it. But when it's a partnership, it's a little bit, well, it's a lot more things to consider if someone was to pass away. But I think we should always be thinking about succession planning from the very beginning, because we don't want to wait till we're in the thick of it. We don't want to wait till we're in the thick of it because then we're not thinking clearly,
Very true.
you know?
Very true. So contracts, dealing with contracts and clients. What is the what do you recommend for if someone was just getting started? Um, the biggest question I always get is, should I work without a contract? And I always say no. I'm not an attorney, but I always say no. You'll hear from an attorney now. Should you work any project without a signed agreement?
I would say no. Your business is your baby. If you are truly invested in your business, you're going to want to make sure you do things the right way. But I do know having an attorney is an expense. And people like to forego expenses. And so you can't pay for an attorney. You're like, okay, I'm not going to get an attorney on this contract. And then something goes wrong. So you could have paid me, let's say, $350 to review this contract. That would have covered you for the length of the contract, and I would have made sure you was protected. I would have ensured that. Contract goes on 6 months, something goes wrong. Now you're paying me $350 an hour to fix what you could have paid $350 to avoid. And so you have to weigh the pros and cons and what makes sense for your business. And people are like, oh, well, the contract is not that complicated. There's only one page. So that can be a good thing. But is there a reason it's one page? Is that person, they're going to make sure they're protected, but are you protected? That's something totally different. And oftentimes we're just like, no, they're going to give me $5,000. I'm going to do the work. That's going to be the end of it. It doesn't matter. And it's like, no, it does. It does matter. Like we worked with a contractor, and he subcontracted some work with another subcontractor, and they didn't use contracts. Come to find out, the subcontractor didn't have insurance. And then my client didn't give him a contract that required him to have insurance. And so now not only is the subcontractor being sued, my client is being sued through his entity and personally. And so it's like, you would have paid me maybe, this was a pretty extensive contract, but let's say you paid me max $2,000, right? They're suing him for $575,000. My 2,000 could get wrapped into that a whole bunch, but now the price went up, right?
Right.
Because now we're dealing with a lot more complicated issues.
So essentially, having a attorney on retainer is probably one of the best investments early on.
So I don't really have people that keep us on a retainer because the reality of it is like we're vibing right now, Anita, right? But I don't want you to feel like you always have to use me. If you want to use me, you can use me, great. But if you don't, your money is not tied up. I'm not a savings account.
Mm,
I'm not, people like to have their money in this pot so that it's prepared for when they need an attorney or reserve my time. But the reality of it is, if it's something that we're going to take on, we're going to take on. You use your money for what you need to at that time to reinvest it and to do these different things. But we have a relationship. I signed you up, you're my client, and you know what the expectations are. And if we're going to take the project and move forward, and then we'll collect the money at that time. We do charge hourly for a lot of things, but for some of our clients, especially small businesses, we try to structure as many things as we can as a flat fee.
mm.
Because the reality of it is, small businesses need to know how much things are going to cost. They don't just have unlimited funds. It's like, is it going to be in a range of 500 to 1,000, 20,000 to 30,000? Those are important things to consider, especially for growing businesses. So we try to be as upfront as possible.
And that's amazing. That is really amazing. So, um, two more questions and then we're gonna wrap. Um, when what tips, right? If someone wanted to I mean, obviously your journey was very unique, to your desire to get into this specific field. But for someone who was really looking to make the jump, what would you offer them in terms of like thinking through the process, and what would you advise them to do?
I mean, so I always say, what's the worst that could happen?
Mm,
Like, that's the reality. Because granted, we always want it to work out, but if it doesn't work out, is it going to kill you? And the answer is probably no. And where I'm from the trenches. So I know how to hustle. I'm like, oh, if this business don't work out, I know where social services is. I know how to get assist. I know I'm going to survive. I'm not gonna be homeless. I'm gonna be okay. Or I gotta go get another job. So I'm gonna take my time and take a chance on myself. And I also know, as a person of color, as a small business, as someone not coming from money, oftentimes we can't afford to take those risks.
Right.
And so because we can't afford to take those risks, that means we have to work twice as hard. And so maybe my weekends, I'm not going out to hang out with my girls. I'm working on my business. Instead of watching marathons or whatever shows that people are watching and binge watching, you focus on your business if that's something that you truly want. And so because it's a short-term sacrifice. And then at the same time, when I would tell people, when you're creating these businesses, make sure it works for you. Make sure you do it on your own accord. Like, we've had male attorneys and supposed mentors and other people tell us, oh, I work 60 hours a week, or I work 80 hours a week. And when you're running your own business, you're going to see, why the hell would I open up a business if I got to work that hard? That defeats the purpose for me. I want autonomy. I want to be able to travel. I want to be flexible. I don't want to be all day long. That's not fun. Then you start to hate it.
Right.
You start to hate it. Granted, it is hard work and it's a lot of work, but it should also equate to more free time. I'm a mother. I have two children. I have a 3-month old and I have a 5-year old. And so it's like, I need to spend time with my kids. I need to spend time with my family. When school is over, I need to go pick my son up. After school is not mandatory. Granted, sometimes he might have to go, but you want to have that flexibility. So create a business plan. Don't create it out of desperation.
Mm.
Create it out of something that's like truly going to work for you, because we're unique here. Family is important. And at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And if I can't do it, that means maybe my business is not working for me. So I need to reevaluate.
That is such awesome advice that you're offering. As a mom, my days end at 3 o'clock, and then that's because my little person is coming. Is going to be coming home soon, and definitely is going to want attention, time, in all of my resources. So before I used to battle it,
Mhm.
oh, I got to have these meetings at 3. And then, trying to figure out why she's like, Mom, can I do this? Can I do this now? Or I have homework. And then once I started to figure out that's a battle that I don't need, let's
Mhm.
just pause for a bit for the day. And then, once we get back to sleepy time and she has a time and where we have eaten, we're fed, and I just go back to finish some of the things that I was
Mhm.
working on with no distractions, and that's what works for me.
And our kids, they need that individualized time.
Yes.
They need to know. And granted, you can give your kids the world and they're still going to ask for more.
Mhm,
You can give them 30 minutes of undivided attention, they're going to ask for more. You can give them a whole day and they're going to ask for more. So just give them something. Take
mhm.
that time and really hone in on what they have going on, because we want our children to not think running your own business is the worst thing in the world either. Like, mom's always busy, she can't play with me, she can't, you know that's not the reality of it. And so you got to do what works. You got to do what works for you. You got to do what works for you, because I know I'm going to get my cuddles with my baby. I'm going to do that with my new baby, and I'm going to do that with my 5-year old too. I'm going to take the time. The time is going to look different every time, but I'm going to take the time.
Yeah, because they grow so fast,
They
and,
do.
mine just turned 7. She told me at her recent birthday, she said, "I'm gonna be a teenager tomorrow." And I'm thinking in my head, "What?"
Well, my son, he turned 5 years old last week. And last night he didn't turn off the TV and go to bed when he was supposed to. So I finally went in there and did it. And I was like, you are old enough to know better. You are a big boy. He's like, I don't want to be a big kid anymore. Actually, I'm gonna be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I'm 0 now. So no, I can't turn the TV off, but I'm just like, yeah. So he's currently 0. That's what I've
Oh,
been told.
okay.
Yeah.
Must be
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, until you become an adult and you have to make decisions. Like, yeah, it's always the battle of sleep. They always, well, at least here, want water, want the extra hugs. Can you
Mhm.
sleep with me? Can you
Yeah.
sing me a song?
Yeah.
Or it's always right around that sleep time. I'm like, okay, well, you still got
I
to do it in the morning.
absolutely, absolutely.
What you want me to tell you? So we are at our end. But before I let you go, I have some rapid fire questions that I like to ask all my guests. You ready?
Okay.
What do you do in your downtime?
Eat.
What do you do in your spare time?
Spend more time with my family.
How do you manage your wellness?
I put myself first.
Pizzas or burgers?
Burgers,
Smoothies or ice cream?
smoothies all day.
Since you're from New York, what's your favorite borough?
Brooklyn, baby.
That's what it's back. It's
Brooklyn,
back.
Killer County.
It's back. In 3 years, what will change within the community that you're serving? 3 years.
They're going to know that they have a resource. They're going to know. They're not going to have to second guess it. They're going to know.
What is the legacy that you would like to leave your family?
She came, she saw, and she conquered.
Awesome. Any final thoughts?
No, this was awesome. I loved it. I'm happy to know that you're from DeVille. You know,
Brooklyn, Brooklyn.
you know. It's
Where can we find you for if we want to do business?
You guys can find us on wallaceturnerlaw.com. You guys can call our office line 518-400-0672. And we also accept text messages through that line. And we are available on Facebook and Instagram. So be sure to like us, follow us, and we have some new interesting things coming through the pipeline.
So you heard it here. No excuses. Referrals are welcome. They support your business, your growth, your family, and they look like us. So I'm excited, Ray, to have had the opportunity to
Thank
have
you.
conversation with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you around somewhere around New York, somewhere, Brooklyn, upstate, somewhere, because we're moving, we're moving, we're moving, and
Love
look
it.
forward to meeting your partner as well on another day, another time.
Yes, thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself today.
But likewise, and thank you so much for joining the real journey of the entrepreneur. Bye bye. So, no excuses. You have women, very strong women of color, happen to be from Brooklyn. From Brooklyn. When we say Brooklyn, you guys say it with emphasis. Brooklyn. Anyway, I'm excited to have Ray to have join us. Please make sure that you check out Wallace Turner Law. They're on Facebook, Instagram, and you can find them at their website www.wallaceturnerlaw.com, or you can call 518-400-0672. I really am grateful for the opportunity to have interviewed an attorney. Look out for more information from the real journey of the entrepreneur. If you need resources, if you need to connect with us, we are also on all the platforms. 718-691-8966. You can contact us directly. We're on 11375 on all of these social platforms. So check us out. You're going to need our services. Please be sure to check us out. Wanted to also mention as well, there still are a few resources and opportunities for small businesses. You can check out the New York City Resource Network. It's attached to a number of the Chamber of Commerce's. Also wanted to elevate the Chamber of Commerce's. You have Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Upstate New York Black Chamber of Commerce. Is opportunities exist there as well. And also, if you are looking to be connected with mentors, there's opportunities through SCORE that you can take advantage of. Happy to connect with you there if you need some of those services. But on that note, I want to thank you all for joining the real journey of the entrepreneur. We look forward to seeing you again really, really soon.